Thank you for joining us today. It's that time of year, not only at the end of the year, but it's also time for the annual Project Feed the Thousands food drive. I'm Tim Johnson, and with me is Feed the Thousands co-founder, Larry Smith.
How are you, Tim?
Good. And I want you to know that when this started, we didn't have this hair color.
No, we didn't.
Maybe if you could take a trip back through memory lane and talk about what happened that made this a reality and then made this a tradition.
Well, as you know, when I was at WTSA, I hated doing news in the newsroom. I wanted to get out. I'd do it live anywhere, downtown, other communities. So Melinda Bussino, who was the executive director of the Brattleboro Area Drop-In Center that I'd never heard of, kept asking me, you got to come to the center. And it's like, okay, I'll get down there. And then finally she said, look, the Vermont Food Bank is doing a food distribution in the Harmony parking lot. Could you do your noon news down there and maybe interview the Vermont Food Bank? And it's like, sure, why not? I get down there and there's a line out the Harmony parking lot. And I'm seeing people that I know, young people, older folks, veterans, and they're all lined up getting food. And it just struck me, it's like, these aren't people just passing through town. These are people that I know. So did the news, did the interview, and Melinda said, now do you want to see the drop-in center? And I said, sure. I go down, there's people sitting there. It's literally a food shelf, several. All they had left was USDA commodity foods, rice, flour, beans, sugar, and people waiting for food. Because I said, do people usually like come down? She says, they're waiting for a food delivery, maybe some day-old bread or something expired from Hannaford's, Price Chopper, whoever. And it's like, wow, you really need food. So it was later that summer that George Haynes, who was president of Brattleboro Savings Loan, approached me and said, we're the community bank, you're the community radio station. Let's do a project. I said, sure, that sounds good. And he says, let's put lights on the creamery-covered bridge or maybe Christmas lights on the common. And I said, yeah, that's okay. How about we do a food drive? And he said, a food drive? And I said, yeah, there's hungry people here, and not people that just are under the bridges or passing through, local residents that don't have enough food to eat. They're hungry. And I said, get in the car. We're going to the drop-in center. And the look on his face, it's like, okay. And that started it. Knowing nothing about doing food at that point, we got a half a tractor trailer truck and decided, well, we'll fill a half a tractor trailer truck with non-perishable food, not remembering that it freezes. So after that first year, it's like, okay, we're going to collect money and food, but we've got to have a better thing than put it in a tractor trailer truck. So that's how it started. We got CNS Wholesale Grocers involved, which was a major move. And here we are 31 years later.
And it's interesting. We all thought that when this project started, that maybe a few people could use it, but not only are more and more people being helped by food programs, but the need has expanded outside of Brattleboro itself.
Absolutely. The first couple of years, it was Project Feed the Thousand, and then it became obvious to us there's more than 1,000 people that are food insecure. They need help, and especially this time of the year. Of course, everybody does campaigns this time of the year, but this is also when food shelves, food pantries run out of food, or they can't get it from the Vermont Food Bank, or they don't have enough funds. So they need physical food, non-perishable food items right off the bat, and then they need funds to be able to purchase this food from the Vermont Food Bank for the rest of the year. And think of it, this time of the year, and just for a normal family, you've either got rent or a mortgage, you've got your light bill, you've got your gas bill, you've got utilities. The last thing you have money for is food.
One thing I'll tell you is, as someone new to the phenomenon known as Medicare, Medicare recipients are getting a cost of living increase at the end of the year. But some of the insurances that are needed to go along with that, they're going up too, and there goes your cost of living
There
increase.
goes the cost of living. Can't win.
Yeah, so everybody is facing this. We all thought that the problem of hunger would be solved by government, silly me. So therefore, we all are struggling and trying to find a way to make sure we're fed, we're clothed, we have heat 365 days a year. So this project expanded beyond Brattleboro. How did that work?
Because of the need, we started hearing from food pantries in the area, Hinsdale, Putney, Townsend, can you help us? We don't have enough food. And we said, all right, it starts with you helping yourselves. Try a local food drive. Maybe the schools in your area or high schools can help. And then, of course, we'll be there. But let's all do this together. So it has just grown over the years. Individuals, some organizations do a food drive, fire departments. So it's all of this adding to what we need for non-perishable food and for money. This year's goal is $120,000 in cash and as much food, of course, as we can get to make it through the entire year.
And the interesting thing is that money is the major driver, because you and I could maybe go out and do some super shopping. In fact, we have over the years, and have plenty of stories to go along about that. But the food banks and some of the major programs that in fact are funded by the Vermont Food Bank and to a larger extent Feeding America, the parent organization, they can purchase and get donations at a much better rate than you and I could.
Yes. And speaking of Feeding America, when my wife and I were in Florida, I retirement after the first 5 years, it's like we were driving each other crazy. So it's like, I want to do something mindless after radio and Vermont Yankee. I want to serve breakfast at a Hampton Inn. And sure enough, I did for 7.5 years. And we used to volunteer at Feeding Tampa Bay in Tampa. And I absolutely loved it. And they said when I got there, do you know anything about like how to sort food or anything? Because we can train you. And I said, no, I'm good with that. And one of the funniest things is we go in their warehouse in Tampa, and there's all of the plaques for all of the businesses that contributed, and there's CNS Wholesale Grocers. And it's like, wow, I feel like I'm home. But it was so rewarding to do that. It's just comes natural.
Yeah, and the thing is, people in the food business understand it because they are working with people who are struggling as well.
Yeah. Yep, so this has grown, and we get their help, and of course the Vermont Food Bank. So this has been wonderful, and you're right, you can't depend on the government. It has to be at the local level, because we're feeding local people. We're feeding our friends and our neighbors, not some ethereal group of folks, and we don't know where the money of the food is going. We know exactly where it's going.
And one thing about government assistance, there is their supplemental food nutrition program. I guess they call it SNAP, or I have seen it called 3 Squares in Vermont. That's for food only.
That's right.
And no junk food, and of course, none of the things that you might need as a family or an individual, like toilet paper, toothpaste, etc.
Personal care items.
So those are just as important all around, not just this time of year.
It reminds me of something somebody years ago said that, Larry, that's really great that you and George, in your capacity being in the community, can do this. That's really nice. And it's nice that your jobs allowed you. And I said, well, this is more personal for me, because back in the day at the radio station back in the 70s, and I've got 3 small kids, and my wife and I, and we were barely making it with both of us working. And I interview the Vermont Department of Health and hear about the Women, Infants, and Children's Program, WIC. And they do the income guidelines, and I'm sitting there, and it's like, I qualify for this. So I tried to get a raise, wasn't going to happen. So I swallowed my pride, went down to the local dairy, signed up for the WIC program, and did that for 2 years. So it's personal for me. It's like, I don't ever want to be in that position again where I can't feed my family. I don't know what food we're going to have. It's not a good situation, and I didn't want to be in it again. So that's how I started with raising food. It's from a very personal level, and early years, it's like, I can't do much about this, but later on, obviously, I could.
Well, I'll tell you, I grew up as the sixth of seven children in Vernon, and many things we never saw. In fact, I was telling somebody today that I never saw oranges until Christmas. Milk either came direct from the farm or in powdered form, and much of the meat we saw were in suspicious white packages that arrived after dark, and nobody wanted to talk about where they came from. So obviously, I knew the struggle, and I've seen the struggle in my career, and getting married to a young lady with two children, we scraped by, and my luck was that she was in healthcare, so she had a better job than I. But the thing is, it happens to everybody, and we talk about healthcare. All of us are one or two major illnesses away from being on the street because, as you know, everything costs a lot of money and goes up, but food is the one constant that we need to have as a society, and along with the fact that we want people to know where their food comes from and how much it takes to put it on the table, we want to make sure that they have it.
Yep. I want to let everybody know, you mentioned we've expanded this. These are the food pantries and shelves that we work with every year. And again, this is all local. Groundworks Food Shelf, St. Bridget's Kitchen, Loaves and Fishes Community Kitchen. Those are in Brattleboro. Guilford Cares Food Pantry, Bread of Life Food Pantry in Vernon, Hinsdale Food Pantry, Our Place Drop-In Center in Bellows Falls, Putney Food Shelf, and Townsend Community Food Shelf. And again, they are all doing their own collections, their own fundraising to try to help. So this aggregate means that we're usually, well, we have been for 30 consecutive years, able to meet our financial target and the food target. So we're hoping that it's going to happen again this year. The campaign goes through the end of December into January if necessary, but this is a time where we need to raise the money and we need to collect the food for local people who are food insecure.
And a couple of places I want to mention where you can make a donation. You can go online to projectfeedthethousands.org or by mail, send a check in care of 802 Credit Union, and you can actually designate the program where you'd like the money to go or make a general donation. So I want to repeat that several more times before we wrap up our program. Now, over the years, I have in my own capacity at both WKVT and WTSA, and also as the town clerk, now retired in Vernon, some incredible generosity from people. And I find that usually it's the people who are the closest to that poverty line who understand it the most.
Yeah, I see that. I've recently done 2 high school assemblies at Leland and Gray and at BUHS, and it's just unbelievable the participation and the comments. And 2 of the members of the National Honor Society at BUHS came up and said, Mr. Smith, will you tell us again, what is the difference between non-perishable and perishable? Do you take personal care items like razors, feminine care products, toothpaste, toothbrushes? And I said, absolutely. And these are the things that are the last to get donated, but people need them. So absolutely, yes, bring in whatever you can.
And it's funny, in doing those collection donations, found that one day at the radio station, we got a call from Melinda Busno. And by the way, we need to just mention people like Melinda, like George Haynes. They're no longer with us, but our current collections, we're standing on their shoulders and leading by their example. So
absolutely.
Definitely. Melinda called one day and said, look, we're out of turkeys at the drop-in center. What can you do? So we go on the air, and 30 turkeys are delivered within a half an hour.
Yeah, people are unbelievable.
And a woman that I've never seen in my life before, never seen again, walked into the radio station with tears in her eyes, wrote a check for $100, and said I'd been there.
Yep. And that's why this means so much. Also want to make mention of the co-chairs. You know, when George and I decided it's really time for somebody else, we'll still be involved. We were the co-founders, but it was beginning to be a lot of work. So we appointed Kelly Corbeil, who owns WTSA, John Shaka, who runs Brattleboro Subaru, and the board. Just wonderful. 100% of the money that we raise, $120,000, we hope, goes to buy food. 100%. Everything is donated. Our time is donated. Finances for our accounting donated. Our advertising, our artwork, all donated. So it makes us feel good. Not 1 cent goes for anything else other than to purchase food.
So we talk to individuals, we talk to schools. What about businesses? How do you get a business and its employees to make a donation? What kind of strategies are out there?
Well, you know, it's marketing. And I get the accounting every week or so on how we're doing financially, and we've got a ways to go. I think the last I saw, we were at like $48,000. We need to be at 120, so we've got a ways to go. Brown and Roberts, as an example, decided they're going to do a roundup program. A roundup is when you go in and buy something and there's change left over, and many stores do that, you can donate it. So they were doing it for Project Feed, and they did it again this year, $5,000. Now there's an effort where it's right in their store, they're helping the community, they feel good, so stores can do that. Or they can just write out a check. They can donate food if they're in the food business, or do the roundup program, which is effortless, but there's $5,000 to buy food. So businesses, it's very simple. There's numerous ways. All they have to do is get in touch with us. But again, thank God, after 30 years, this is our 31st, people are in the swing of what they need to do, how they want to do it, how they want to do a fundraiser. And everybody tells me they really feel good about it. You know, not that they didn't get 500 pounds of food, they got 300. They made a difference.
And this is something that perhaps might be very easy for people because you notice they've stopped making pennies. And they haven't stopped making products that cost $17.98 or $9.98.
That may happen.
So this will be a great way for both you as a consumer and the business to be able to deal with some of the bookkeeping associated with some of these crazy numbers for products.
And of course, we're a nonprofit organization, tax-deductible donations, and it's all going locally.
Perfect. Now, I understand 2 of the programs are actually serving meals in Brattleboro on a regular basis, both Loaves and Fishes and St. Bridget's Kitchen. Mm-hmm. And one of the people involved there, we have to mention, Carolyn Pichak, died this year, and she was just a bulwark in getting this program up and running.
Very institutional.
Just incredible. So, these are the kinds of people who step up in a community, and maybe you're the next one who's going to step up in a community. I never thought I'd be doing this on this level, but, we need everybody to make this program work. In fact, a community needs everybody in whatever capacity you do.
Takes a village.
That's right. And I've been called the village idiot sometimes.
Well, so have I. But
so there you are. We talked about how you can make a donation, why the need is certainly important, but, can you volunteer? Can you call some of these organizations and maybe you can spend some time? If you don't have money, it'd be a great way to do it too.
You can sort food. You can help them pack food. Again, our partners, Groundworks Food Shelf, St. Bridget's Kitchen, Loaves and Fishes Community Kitchen. Those are all in Brattleboro. Guilford Cares Food Pantry, Bread of Life Food Pantry in Vernon, Hinsdale Food Pantry, Our Place Drop-In Center in Bellows Falls, Putney Food Shelf, and the Townsend Community Food Shelf. I got to tell you, the first year, again, that George and I did this, and we did a shopping, and I think it was at Hannaford's. And we had maybe $700 in cash. So like, this is our first shopping trip. And we were instructed, these are the non-perishable food items people need: soups, peanut butter, jelly, bread, potatoes, etc. So we're shopping, and we're feeling pretty good about this. And we bring it down to the drop-in center. And of course, George and I were known to be maybe a little loud. So we come in, and
Not you.
not me. And Melinda is very happy. But there's a woman and her two small kids, look like maybe, 4 or 5, and they're sitting there. And George says, "Oh, I wonder if we're bothering them. She's crying." So we took Melinda aside and said, "Is this a bad time for us to be here?" And she said, "Oh no, she's sitting here waiting for food, having no idea you were coming in with food. She's going to be able to feed her kids tonight." Those are happy tears. And it's like, we just stood there, and it's like, oh my God, this is real. It's not just a feel good. These are people sitting here waiting for food. So it was like, that was our passion then I think we're doing the right thing, and we're going to keep on doing it.
Well, got a story for you. I came up with a way to do a meal in a bag, and did some shopping for it. And it was, more than a couple dollars per meal, but I put together 20 of these, and we brought those to Bread of Life. And it's funny, the ability and the want to donate, once you start,
it feels
it keeps
good.
rolling on. It feels great.
It feels good because you're making a difference. It's not just a feel-good project. You're making a difference. Everything you bring in, seriously, even one can of soup could be a meal for somebody. That's pretty hard to imagine, but for some, that's what it is. A box of cereal, whatever. It's whatever they come home with, they're going to have for dinner that night.
Some of my early radio days, it was a loaf of bread, a pound of bologna, and a jar of pickles.
To this day, Timmy, I can't look at hot dogs or macaroni and cheese.
Well, that was never a problem. In fact, I'd never met a meal I didn't like. You know what my favorite meal is? Free.
There you go.
Yeah. So you understand, when you don't have a lot, you develop some food issues, and I'm still working on those. But the thing is, I don't want anybody else to go through what we've gone through.
No, and again, it comes from that personal level. It's like, nice that you all do this. And it's like, well, believe me, we've been there. This is very personal for us. It's not just, we thought this would be the thing that we should do. I wanted to give you an address.
Oh, please do.
You can send a check to Project Feed the Thousands, care of 802 Credit Union, or donate online at projectfeedthethousands.org. And again, every single dollar goes for the purchase of food, absolutely nothing else. It's all volunteer effort, including us old guys.
The most important gift you can give somebody is a little bit of yourself. And getting past the point where I really don't need a lot of gifts. If I win Powerball, that would be fine. But
be sure and let me know. I'll drive you to the bank.
Well, there you go. It actually would be somewhere where I would put up a nonprofit corporation so people would never know that I won. But still, we all have dreams like that. We all want the best for our children, our family, and we all want to live in a thriving community. But it begins with us. We need to be able to help our neighbors, because if not, when you need help, what's going to happen? They're not going to help you.
Yep.
So this is where Project Feed the Thousands has come in for more than 30 years. And I thought I was going to get away from this, but I'm back. And
well, good. We're glad to have you back on board.
And so we're going to do this for as long as we're able to stand up and take nourishment, because after that, you may be feeding us. So again, projectfeedthethousands.org, or by mail, send a check in care of 802 Credit Union in Brattleboro with designation for specific food areas. And you know what? We'll probably be back here next year doing this.
I hope so.
All that, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, Larry Smith over there. I'm Tim Johnson. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Please help Project Feed the Thousands. Thank you.